Welcome one, welcome all. It's time for NCAA Division III Volleyball, the nightcap, the final game of an extraordinary 3 days of NCAA Volleyball as the visiting Yellow Jackets of Baldwin Wallace are in Kenosha for Game 2 for their back-to-back contests, losing a thrilling 5-setter to the Ducks of Stevens and Carthage, coming off a huge sweep Thursday against Juniata and the Eagles. Last night, a crushing 5-setter loss to the aforementioned Ducks of Stevens. And right now we are going to have Carthage versus the Yellow Jackets. Joining me momentarily is going to be Justin Coorigan, my color commentator, who was here for the prior games to kind of talk through what we have seen this weekend. And boy, oh boy, Justin, again, you were here, you were witness. You truly have 4 of the best teams in the nation taking on one another. It's just been heavyweight blow for heavyweight blow.
Absolutely. These 4 teams have battled so hard all weekend long, and these are truly 4 of the best teams in the country. We have seen it, and this has never been a clear shot victory, one team over the other. It's been point back and forth. It's been rallies, it's been ebbs, it's been flows. A couple teams have had to battle adversity through injury, through close calls, and it has been some of the best volleyball you will see in the country at the Division III level.
Baldwin Wallace, there's no full official diagnosis yet. Again, it is merely speculative, but one of their best players just a mere few hours ago went down with an injury that's got to be challenging for what we saw for Baldwin Wallace. And what you saw earlier, you see it there. Talk us through, not necessarily what you saw, but it looked like non-contact, and your heart goes out to him. You just wish her the best.
Yeah, Owen Wynn of the Baldwin Wallace team, number 11, a sophomore hitter out of Loveland, Ohio, was having a spectacular game. I believe 12 kills, if I'm not mistaken. And he went up for a kill, came down weird, no contact with any other players, and just went down grabbing his left knee. He did not return to the game, and you just hope that he can recover. It's not a terrible knee injury, and he can return this season because he was a very critical part of that Baldwin Wallace squad, and you felt his presence and his absence once he left the court, and it affected Baldwin Wallace late in that game in sets 4 and 5.
Yeah, Wynn 89 kills, was the second leading kill getter for the Yellow Jackets, trailing only 92 kills of Hoffmeister. And the reason I think that bears mentioning is he still ended, or is coming into this contest, with the second most kills, and he missed over half of the prior game. They had some time to recalibrate and say to themselves, all right, now we had our 45 minutes to decide how they're going to match up. But one thing they did so well is they almost truly defeated Stevens. They went all the way to 5, so they rallied around the injury of Wynn. But with that being said, one thing you very much so told me in the pregame, the net presence they had to slow down some of the best players for the Ducks, that might give Carthage some fits this evening.
Absolutely, and when we talked to Coach Kiefer both in the postgame show last night, and we had him on during the Stevens versus Juniata game this morning, he said we need to play better offense. We are not that good of an offensive team. Defensively, we are solid, but a team like Baldwin Wallace is also good defensively, and they shut down some of the bigger hitters and pieces for Stevens, specifically Sherman. I'm blanking on his first name at the moment. But Sherman, who decimated the Firebirds with 23 kills, was held to a small handful and was hitting in the negative for most of the match. So a great defensive job for Baldwin Wallace. Also to note, Stevens was missing a couple different players we had seen all weekend, but they still put up a fight, still came back and won in 5 sets for the second time.
We're going to take a timeout, hand it over to Eric Elger, the PA announcer, give us some introductions. First serve, less than 5 minutes on the Firebird Broadcasting Network.
First, let's meet the Yellow Jackets. Starting at outside hitter, the 6'2",
And welcome into the broadcast just about an hour after projected, but we are excited to be with you this Saturday evening in Kenosha. Nolan getting the start at libero, Maury going to be setting, Heiss, Hendricks, your oppos, middle blocking is Schweitzer and Cholowinski, and Owen, the automatic auto, is going to be your other outside your starters for these Firebirds of Carthage. Again, the sweep of Juniata, one of the best ranked teams in the nation. A almost defeat of Stevens last night. Again, it was a situation, maybe Carthage was a little tired, Stevens was fresh, but we saw what happened with Stevens and losing to Juniata. It's like, okay, with the enemy, and my enemy is my friend, you just have these top 4 teams beating up on each other, and the Yellow Jackets coming in ranked number 12. They almost come away with a victory over Stevens, and so it'll be intriguing to see, Justin, where these rankings land after this weekend. But with that being said, if Carthage can come out with a convincing win, that will be a convincing win against number 5, a convincing win against number 12, and a near win against number 3. You have to imagine they're going to move up from number 8.
Absolutely, and I was bringing this up hypothetically with Coach Kiekefer during the Juniata-Stevens game this morning. And he basically said, you're not going to see a whole lot of movement, especially with Juniata beating Stevens. It's all pretty much going to hold. It's going to depend on what happens around the rest of the country. If somebody stays undefeated, Stevens may drop a spot. Carthage could potentially move up a spot or down a spot, even with 2 wins, because they may deem that home loss heavier than a road loss for a Juniata or a Baldwin Wallace or a Stevens. So it's going to be interesting to see what this one does. If this one goes the way of the Yellow Jackets, there will definitely be movement across the board.
Aiden Kim getting your start in the libero position. We are underway. A service error is how things are going to start. The Yellow Jackets, again, 45 minutes ago, went a full 5-setter. And for what it's worth, you still see some perspiration on some of these players. I mean, you sit, you maybe have a snack, you rehydrate, and now you're going against number 8 in the nation. Power serve picked up from the back row. Set near side, that stays in. McDonald couldn't get down in time. Mark that, Hendricks couldn't get there in time. And back to serve is going to be Hoffmeister.
That kill came from, I believe, number 21, Daniel Latham. We didn't see Latham come in until Owen Wynn had to go out with that knee injury. He has made his mark since entering the game.
Cholowinski, again, jammed his hand yesterday against Stevens. One of the senior leaders for the Firebirds, able to deliver middle of the net. Up serve for Maury. High back set, playable back row for Hendricks. Left side auto off the double block. The block so good for the Yellow Jackets this afternoon, and point goes to Carthage.
And net presence from all 4 of these teams all weekend long has been so admirable. You can tell why these teams are so dominant. They play smart defense, they control the net, and it becomes the battle of who has more control.
The back set finds the line, gets the tip. Nice job, a little bit of trickery. Dan Latham, the outside hitter out of Westerville, Ohio. And again, he just saw that double block in front of him, Justin, rotated the hand a little bit, went right down the line.
Excellent, exactly. Great cross shot there with the block moving to its left.
Good communication by Otto. That one sailed eyebrow level, so a little just tilt to the head, got out of the way. Carthage, another gimme point.
And that's something that has been definitely improved since we first started seeing this Carthage team at home a few weeks ago. The communication between Otto and Nolan in the back has been incredible, and it's paying off on the defensive end.
Net violation called against Heiss. He claims that. Serve receive. Talk me through what you saw from the Yellow Jackets earlier today in terms of their serve receive.
About as solid as anyone you've seen in this tournament. Jim is an incredible libero. He was making saves left and right, even on balls that looked like they were going to be campfire aces. Like every other team, the issue comes more with the serving errors rather than the serve receive.
Well, and again, that was such a key contribution for the Firebirds in their victory against Juniata. The multitude of service errors for the Eagles is something they just could not overcome. Yesterday started to become an issue for the Ducks against Carthage. Carthage unfortunately had some of them fall in your opponent the Ducks' favor late in that contest, but already early on, a multitude of service errors. That is already 3, so 3 out of the 5 points for Carthage are service errors.
And that's kind of what cost the Firebirds the game in set 5 the other night.
Last night?
Last night. It's only last night.
Yeah, Justin, you've pretty much lived here these past 72 hours. Michael Beard out of Hillard. Left side, nice job. Hendricks, a little bit of finesse, had the ISO block. New couldn't get it through. The outstretched hands of Carson Junker, the 6'3", right side senior out of Jackson High School. And Kolwitz now back to serve. First off the bench, the lefty for serve specialty and your rotational setter. When they play that 6'2", he's a vital part of that as well. From the Bick, tip called.
One thing that came up today as Coach Kiekefer and I were talking on the broadcast was we were talking rotational changes and subs and whether or not that plays a factor. And he was saying that sometimes when you see Maury or Kolwitz getting more attention, it could just be the system they're running has to be smarter with subs. So swapping them out, as well as they are both phenomenal junior setters, you got to be smart as far as your sub count and roll with one versus the other.
From the Bick, sailing through, net violation. And that's going to go against number 13, John Steinitz, out of the Friends School of Baltimore. Give him that 2-point lead right back to Carthage. Hendricks now. Almost gets the ace, but playable from the back row. Off the triple block. Punched up by Heiss. Left side, Otto. Playable yet again. That stays in. Latham delivers a power bomb from that far side.
Latham has been on a tear to start this ballgame.
Yeah, it's a situation where if you're the Firebirds, you say, okay, they're down arguably one of their best players. We should be taking advantage, but right now the Yellow Jackets really rallying and just playing that next man up mentality, as cliche as it may sound, but saying not so fast was Hudson Schweitzer, the freshman, getting such key minutes these past 2 games.
And he has been really stepping up. He's figuring out how to play college volleyball. Something Coach Kiekefer keeps harping on is that he's learning, he's figuring it out, he's getting used to the system. He is going to be a great volleyball player for Carthage for a long time.
Service error for Carthage, gets point right back to the Yellow Jackets. Again, former classmates of Emmerich, Heiss, and Schweitzer, all out of Middleton High School in Middleton, Wisconsin. Cholowinski, that quick one set from Maury to Cholo. Disastrous, and almost no way to stop it.
And that is going to be where things are interesting for this matchup. There is no middle blocker for Baldwin Wallace anywhere close to Cholowinski's height at 6'8".
Sails too far. Point going to the Firebirds. No tip call. Head coach Kyle Mars in his 5th season for the Yellow Jackets, assisted by Dan Martin, Jason Klein, Nicole Logan, and Alyssa Sagi. Out of play that goes. Another point for the Birds. Talk to me through, how did Baldwin Wallace, I was just going to say, utilize their timeouts in the earlier contest? We see it there now, trailing 11-7, a little bit of a run of 3-0 for Carthage. They now lead midway through the first.
Yeah, it's kind of what you just saw right there. Never let them get more than 4 or 5 points ahead, and it just pretty much, the weird thing was too is not a lot of times teams had to burn them, because these games we've seen today have been so 1 to 2 point rallies back and forth that it really hasn't been until we get into that 18, 19, 20 points that coaches start to feel the pressure and kind of need to squeeze out a timeout.
Latham, of course, leading the charge offensively. 3 kills so far in this game. And coming into today, 82 kills on the season, 3rd on the team, but of course will quickly become 2nd with the injury to Win. Latham, let's see if they can try to feed him more. It's not as if the block has done anything spectacular for Carthage. They just haven't needed to. Again, already with 3 service errors for the Yellow Jackets early on to only 1 of Carthage, and that really makes up the difference. To serve is going to be number 6, Ryan Morey, the setter out of Redwood City, California.
It's interesting because we didn't see Morey or serve a lot, rather. Last game, saw it more go to Joe Kolwitz.
That one breaking through. Nice point out of the timeout. For the Yellow Jackets, coming in to serve is Josh Steinitz.
That's something the Yellow Jackets have been really good at all tournament long, is calling a timeout and then getting the side out off the timeout, not wasting any time getting the ball back and using the timeout perfectly to get a new point.
Steinitz had 3 aces coming into today. Triple block, but the double touch called. Not much you could do when Michael Beard is laying down, getting that little tan, looking up at the lights, and it comes right at you.
Speaking of lights, I'm blanking on the school name, but did you hear last night there was a Division III volleyball tournament where the power went out and they had to postpone the final games of the night?
I did not hear that.
They were running a 2-court system, the power went out, so they moved the 8 o'clock last night games to 10 a.m. this morning and had to push the today's scheduled games back.
Got it. Did the games happen today?
I believe they did.
All right, well, we'll look that up in between the first and second set.
They commented on a Instagram post from our game last night asking, who does your lights?
Yeah.
Asking for a friend. So at least the social media admin is having fun with it.
Well, you do have the Beacons of Valparaiso, so they are a light associated school. I used to be the play-by-play announcer and producer for the Aurora Borealis minor league soccer team. So that was always fun. They had a really nice logo too. It was like a street light, you can kind of say, but it had like a red hue to it. Always loved some good logos.
That's what's been great about like minor league baseball lately, where they got all these fun alternate uniforms and names.
15-9. Birds starting to get a handle over the Yellow Jackets. McDonald to serve. He actually opened up the door for me a few hours ago, so thank you to him. Not to say I'm lazy, but if somebody's willing to get the door right next to the entrance and I don't have to walk up and down more stairs, I mean, I'm in.
Hey, you're letting a young man develop into a gentleman.
There you go.
Chivalry is not dead.
Beard out of Darby High School. Right hand taped. Hendricks finds it. The back set for Heist, the lefty. High set, joust at the net. Pinball. Net violation called, I believe, against Reed Fisher over the middle. It's got to be so challenging. You just played a 5-setter against one of the best teams in the nation, and you're adjusting your whole offensive attack.
Yeah, I think there is definitely something to be said, but what's fortunate, especially in a sport like volleyball, a lot of these players, they're used to going back-to-backs from these club tournaments, these high school tournaments.
Yeah.
So that one gets blocked off his dome.
Second timeout called. My favorite score in volleyball, 17-10. Again, if you joined us last night, thank you. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. Many coaches across the levels, high school through D1, men's and women's, have said the crucial 17-10 mark. If you're the team with 10, you know there's still a chance to come back if you get a nice little run. before the other team reaches the red zone. If you're that team with 17 and you get that one more, 8 points doesn't get you that 2-for-1 deal, as you know, that's that whole math thing that comes into play. But with that being said, Carthage just playing their style of play right now, Justin, doing what they need to do, not playing above themselves, only 2 service errors, so their game at the service line has really come to fruition, and you can tell they're the rested team.
Absolutely, and I think they're a team that came out knowing there's a difference between losing in 5 last night and having a night to sleep on it and kind of shake it off versus losing a 5-setter 50 minutes ago and having to shake it off quickly in the locker room. Interesting. I don't know if you can see it all that clear or if you've noticed it, but across from us in the stairway, they'll see it as the camera pans out, there are Carthage Firebirds ace cards.
Yes, I did see that. Did you make those?
I did not make those.
I see 3 of them. So
Yes.
There's likely, I just want to see one so we can see them raised in the air.
The weird thing is they're all ace of diamonds. So somewhere there are 3 sets of cards missing their ace of diamonds.
Yeah, that wouldn't give it away if you're, playing cards. What are they holding? Missed time for the Yellow Jackets. Carthage now a stronghold, 18-10.
This is the set Carthage had to have in this way. Bounce back from a tough 5-set loss and just execute as well as your offense and defense can.
A tip gonna be called. Claiming no touch was Ted Hoffmeister. A quiet start for Hoffmeister in this contest, and he's claiming no touch. And right now the line judge is going to have a conversation with your R1. Again, no replays here at this level. Your R1, Julie Vec, Marek Frank, and they're going to switch the point. Scott Prox and Peter Thomas are your line judges, and Coach Kiekefer gives a thumb up to the R1 like, hey, I'm okay with you changing the call. And again, maybe it'd be a different story if he was the team down 18-11. But nonetheless, we have incoming to serve David Abercrombie, the freshman out of Maricopa, Arizona.
Yeah, and I think for Coach Kiekefer too, you don't want to argue that because it's probably the right call. It looks like out of bounds is the right call to me, but you don't want to get upset when they get a call right for the other team, because then in turn, if you respect it, they'll respect you on a close call on your end as well.
So after Abercrombie's service error, Birds need 6. Back set. The roof is on fire at Tarble Arena. 9-point lead for Carthage.
Here's Coach Kiekefer is at 9 subs, if I'm seeing the R2's hands correctly. Max of 12 used in a set.
Hendricks looks back row. Set over the middle. Nice deflection. Nice set. Carson Junker with a sweet set. He's back to serve now. Does have some of his fingers taped as well. And that's got to be challenging if you're a setter and one of your index fingers is taped, because you're also so present at the line. But nonetheless, 8-point lead. Set to the left side, 12-6, gave him the old Uncle Charlie. Owen Otto, 007.
We've seen a couple from Otto that have been impressive this weekend. I don't know if there was one more impressive than that right there. That was straight down, great vertical. No answer from the Yellow Jackets.
Tried to push through and get the tool. Finds the line again. The Golden Eye from Otto, 10-point lead. Birds need 3.
One of of the biggest leads we've seen out of any team this tournament. Actually, I think the Firebirds probably had that biggest lead at 10 when they finished off the 25-15 win in set 4 last night.
Well, again, Coach Kiefer saying after that 10-point, they felt they really had momentum going into the 5th. And you see that here, 23-12. Carthage on a roll. Jackets out of timeouts. Carthage 2 away from a convincing set 1 victory.
This Carthage team just feels like they're playing so loose right now. You saw them it seemed like they were playing very tense, very tight last night. This just seems like a completely different lineup today.
Baldwin Wallace coming away with the point on the far side, back within 10. Again, if you're Baldwin Wallace, you may not come back in time, but you want to string together as many points as possible, get your feelers underneath you again, with the circumstances being as such, and a service ace, Teddy Hoffmeister. A crucial time for him. Again, that's what helps you get that momentum back. Can he deliver 2 in a row? Maury slides over, and a net violation called. And that's been an Achilles heel for the Yellow Jackets. That is their 3rd net violation on the defensive side, and just like that, the Birds at set 1 point.
And Carthage doing a great job of transitioning quickly, making them move around a lot, especially on tired legs.
An ace, and there are the Ace of Diamonds being pulled up in the crowd. 25-14, one of the biggest victories in any set this season for the Firebirds, and it happens to come at the hands of the number 12th ranked Yellow Jackets. Will Baldwin Wallace find their way back in set number 2, or will the Firebirds continue to be firing on all cylinders? Don't go anywhere. We'll be back on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. Welcome back to the Firebird Broadcasting Network. For Justin Coorigan, I'm Peter Ferreri. We have a libero change, Justin. In now, number 23, Jack Sullenberger, the sophomore out of Powell. And it's a situation now, if you are Baldwin Wallace, hey, you lost your best, arguably, let me say it this way, arguably your best hitter in the prior game. You lost in 5. Set 1 didn't go your way. All right, let's see if we can get a little spark with one of our rotational liberos.
Yeah, and I'm a little curious on this change because Aiden Kim was phenomenal last match.
Yeah.
And even didn't strike me as anything going wrong on his part during that last set. So I'm curious what brought on the change.
Yeah, if you look on the sideline next time the camera pans over his way, it looks like a trainer is working on that right leg. Not sure if it's a cramp. Again, you can't dress 2 liberos.
Looks like they
And
taped
he,
up.
yeah,
Ooh.
he indeed is, that right knee is iced up, and that might be his evening.
That would prove to be a costly day if he's in trouble too. Losing Kim and Wynn would be a real heartbreaking end to this invitational for the Yellow Jackets.
Quick center over the middle, that's that nice snap. Josh Steinitz with that quick coil and delivery. And that's always so tough to defend when not all your front row is, that 6'6" and up. That's what helps with having Maury there along with Cholo and, your other skyscrapers of Schweitzer. But again, that quick swipe, so hard to defend. Left hand underneath at the new libero, Sullenberger. Pass, far side, just finesses over the block, playable. Maury near side, Sullenberger underneath at the overpass, joust, flicked up by Maury. Through the triple block, nice dive on the swan by Beard. Block down. Ryan Maury says, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem, it's me. Carthage up 3-1.
What a block for the setter, Ryan Maury, just getting up. It's so much better for a defense when your setter can be in the front row and still be an effective blocker.
And a service error gives the point right back by Hudson Schweitzer. 3-2 you're scoring again. It was back and forth between these two squads in set number 1. Right when it reached that 11-point mark for the Firebirds, that's when things started to unravel. And hits like that, and they're saying point goes to Carthage, or excuse me, point's gonna go to the Yellow Jackets. Coach Kiekefer just kind of looking around, and Maury's thinking there was a touch that forced it to go out of play. Not quite sure if the call is going to change. It is not. Tied at 3. Joust again. Pass left side, but playable from Beard. Triple block. Nice play over the middle. Steinitz really making his presence known in this set number 2.
Absolutely. And again, this is what we talked about, that effort at the net from Baldwin Wallace. Shut down Sherman for Stevens last game for the most part, and there's an ace.
Ace is the place. They're not holding up the cards in the crowd this time, as that ace, of course, favored. Once again, Hoffmeister, he had an ace near the end of set number 1. Doing a solid job again, too. Just that float serve drops down. Very hard to read. Cholo tried to pull through it, wasn't able to do so. Taking a step back row. Cholo over the middle, playable. Once again picked up back bump by Sullenberger. Beard gets the point. What resolve for Baldwin Wallace. They are up 6-3.
That serve,
yeah.
That serve from Hoffmeister, just an incredible floater. When it comes off his hand here, if he gets it right, there is hardly any rotation. didn't get it there, but when it comes off his hand perfectly, there is no spin on the ball, and it's just moving side to side and up and down, similar to a knuckleball in baseball. So hard to read, so hard to get the timing down on where that ball's going to end up to make that first pass.
Birds back to within 2, back and forth in set number 1 until about halfway through. Similar story here in set number 2. The right hand uppercut, Hendricks falling away. Nice up, doesn't touch any rafters, and Cholowinski wins the joust. Strength personified for the big man in the middle.
Now the interesting thing there, hard to see from our angle because we're so high up, but if that touched the rafters at all before it came down, I'm not sure I would have gone up for it as a blocker, because if it had come down on the side of BWU, that would have been a point for the Yellow Jackets before the block even happened.
Ricochet, but playable for Hoffmeister. Maury with the uppercut. Free ball opportunity. Up by Nolan, net violation on Cholowinski. Not a clean set 2 for Carthage so far.
No, and you can tell Coach Kiekever's frustrated with his squad right now. Just sloppy errors that we weren't seeing in set number 1.
Serving now, Steinitz. Decoy over the middle, and that's going to fall down. One of the areas of improvement that Coach Kiekefer wanted to see is the play offensively from the Bic, and Hendricks able to deliver. Serving now, once again Oenato. And a service error, that one sails out of play, and just falling down, getting out of the way in time is Latham.
I believe that would be a duck out of the 5Ds of dodgeball that we were talking about last night. We can say duck now that we're not playing the duck,
Yes.
so it can
yes,
work.
we can.
Maybe a dip still.
Nice one set. Maury, Cholo, bang. Birds back to within 1. Serving now, Jack McDonald, the pride of Vernon Hills High School. Really finding his groove as one of the serve specialists, and jumps into that back row spot. Rolls off the right arm of Hendricks. And Baldwin Wallace, again, this is how they got a lead against Stevens just a few hours ago.
Absolutely. They're finally settling in. They kind of got through that rough patch of, hey, we dropped set 5. We're tired. We haven't had much of a break. And they've finally come alive here in set 2.
Overpass, banging it back. Carson with the junk ball. 10-7, Baldwin Wallace leads. Another point may yield a Kiekefer timeout.
And Junker there, we haven't called his name a whole lot today. A great swing on the overpass, taking advantage of a Carthage mistake.
Off the rafters it goes. Kiekefer immediately walks over to the R2 and says timeout. It's the small things right now that aren't going, or favoring, you could say, the Firebirds. They trail by 4 midway through set number 2.
Absolutely. They're just not playing clean volleyball, and that hurts when you're playing a team this good. Baldwin Wallace, yes, they did not look good in set 1. They're still a top 15 team in the country. They're most likely going to stay in the top 15 despite a couple losses this weekend. They're not a team that you can just like, hey, we took set 1, let's keep cruising. You got to lock back in, keep doing the little things right, get them off balance, and refocus your efforts to be aggressive again.
Well, again, if you look at what happened with this Yellow Jacket team before they came this weekend, it was the Battle of the Bees as they beat Randolph-Macon in 4 sets, lost to Messiah, and then went on a win streak, beat Misericordia, beat MSOE, beat the Banana Slugs, number 13th ranked, beat St. John's, beat Benedictine, and then just, reached the buzzsaw yesterday against Juniata. and then the 5-setter earlier. So they've proven their value, their worth as one of the best in the nation. And so even though down 2 key contributors now, with your outside and your libero, that just shows the depth this team has.
Absolutely, and I mean, as we saw, the Banana Slugs, they're not a pushover team. It took 5 hard-fought sets for Carthage to beat them. Benedictine, though we haven't seen them this year, they're not a bad team either. They beat North Central in 5. They've had a couple of really tough matches. So this team's not a pushover, and Coach W. Kiekefer knew that when we talked this morning. He said he almost feels that he would prefer to be the team that had just been on the court rather than the ones coming in for the first time today.
So the gimme point, the coach's point. Trying to answer back in is Kolwitz. Off the double block, that stays in, and just trying to turn around and find himself where the Firebirds, and that's just tough where you think it's gonna land. So in to serve now, one of the serve specialists, Dave Abercrombie. His last serve was a service error. Can he clear the net? Give his Yellow Jackets a fighting chance here, up by 4. Does so indeed. Right pin powers through. The uppercut, playable punches, and not able to clear it in time. Where the Jackets and Carthage, they need some 2-for-1 deals right now, but back to within striking distance.
Yeah, just one play at a time, clean volleyball, let Baldwin Wallace make the mistakes. That's all they got to do at this point.
Pass left side, pushes through, gets the tool kill. Call my name, Jacob Esteves, the sophomore, right side of the St. Edward's High School. Bringing in the height of 6'7" off the bench. That's an impact player.
Esteves had a great game against Stevens. Not quite enough to take over when Wynn had to come out of the game.
And that stays in. Back-to-back plays by Esteves. What an impact he's had almost immediately.
The Firebirds right now cannot buy a point landing in a spot that's favorable to them. Volleyball gods just going the way of the Yellow Jackets in this set.
Back set, looks for the line, out of play, no touch once again. Hudson Schweitzer knew the block was coming in, right in front of him, so tried to go around it, went too far. A 6-point lead for the Yellow Jackets.
And it's tough when you know a team is blocking this well. It's hard to say, do I finesse around them or do I try and go through them? And I think we saw against Stevens, going through them doesn't always work compared to other teams.
Otto trying to rile up the troops. Gets a nice tool of his own on the near side. And that'll result in Hudson Schweitzer. Well, he was going to serve. Instead, now number 20, Austin Mallory, the freshman out of Lakes Community High School. Lakes producing many of Firebirds throughout the years. And an ace! Coach Kiekefer pulling all the right strings. Birds back to within 4.
Good dodging effort from our stats crew down at the table. That ball shanked off and went right for the scores table.
Blocked! Ryan Morey says stop it. Birds within 3.
That is what has been so good about this Carthage defense all weekend long is they're so solid that they never let more than 2 or 3 points in a row get away from them.
That is 4 in a row. Another block, back to back. Carthage within 2. Justin, we just were saying, and by we, I mean you, that nothing was breaking the way of the Firebirds. It is all Carthage right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Just complete momentum shift just on the luck of the draw of where the ball's coming down on blocks, where it's landing on the court. For a while, Carthage was just missing the line out, was just letting the ball fall in. The block was coming down on their end versus the Yellow Jackets end. all of a sudden the last 4 points or so, it's going the other way, and they're getting everything to go their way.
15-13. If you look at these past few points, once again, block by Cholowinski, block by Maury, service ace, Mallory. I mean, it's just point after point, and it's different ways. It's different people getting the blocks. It's different people getting the points off of aces. Again, Keycafer pulling the string and bringing Mallory cold off the bench, and he's able to deliver an ace. I mean, that's just knowing your players. That is Mallory's first ace of the season. He has only played in 6 sets. What a run. What a run for the Birds right now. They want to make it as quick as possible. Again, you mentioned yesterday in the postgame show with head coach J.W. Keycafer, exhaustion has to be at the forefront for all these players. Again, we want to remind everybody, win or loss, head coach Keycafer will join us on the postgame show, looking for win 101. Almost got it last night. Got win 100 on Thursday. Coming out of the timeout of the Yellow Jackets in a good form.
And again, going back to what we said before last set, Yellow Jackets really good about getting the side out off the timeout. Just strategically calling timeout and drawing up a play that works to throw the other side off guard.
Up into the rafters it goes. Back bump. Maury over the middle from the Bick, but it hit the tape, slowed it down, playable for Sullenberger. Falling away, Nolan. Cholo. And Tool. Time for the Birds. Owen Otto.
Back within 2, and this team just does not give up, and that's something that Coach Keycafer and I talked about with the youth. Is so good to see already, these young guys that are willing to fight at the college level. Another mistake there, though. Unfortunately, the service error is still piling up.
Service errors for the Yellow Jackets at 6 thus far. That is service error number 5 for the Birds. The back set poking over. Off the ceiling, playable from the Bick. Flat-footed Hoffmeister said, I got this. Wow, what a play.
That might have been the most powerful flat-footed swing I've ever seen.
I mean, it was off the rafters. They just tried to keep it alive. Most players in the nation would have just done a nice set to keep the rally going. From a chance to being within 1 to now the Yellow Jackets answering the call back to a 5-point lead. The run has switched sides, 19-14, and the Yellow Jackets trying to will their way to a set 2 victory. They switched liberos, and it's proving fruitful for the visiting Yellow Jackets of Baldwin Wallace as we look to what is ahead for them. After today, they get a little bit of a break. They don't play for a week as they take on Thiel in Pennsylvania, or out of Pennsylvania in Berea, Ohio, in the Yellow Jacket tri-match. They also then play next Saturday immediately following against Hiram, and then Aurora University, Feb the 14th. This Yellow Jacket squad out of the OAC Conference. And by my records, they have not played each other before. Am I correct with that, Justin?
I can confirm that right here. I don't think so.
Okay. Again, my research shows they haven't. They're just 2 really good teams. Could be mistaken.
Which is common when they're
I guess my mistakes are common. Thank you.
Oh,
Appreciate that.
all right. That's not what I meant, but okay. Also, since you mentioned earlier, Misericordia was the one who did not have lights working last night.
Okay.
As soon as you said it when you were reading through their schedule, I was like, that's it. That's the name that escaped my brain.
You've called a lot of volleyball these past 3
with
days.
only 1 cup of coffee today.
Wow.
I'm going to need one to write all my recaps and stuff afterwards and be a sports info director, but that's a after this problem.
Yeah, I went old school. I went to a little diner for brunch or breakfast today. Had a lovely waitress come by, and I said, keep topping it off. I got a long day. Carthage able to be backed within 4. They need a run, and they need it now.
As far as the Carthage records book show, these two have never seen each other.
And I also saw the same for the Yellow Jackets on their page. So again, I'm spoiled, and I just click history and hope for the best. But you would have more access to that, and if you say it, it goes.
The fun thing, little bragging rights for Carthage, they have played 7 games against Ball State University, who went to the NCAA tournament last year at the Division I level, and they are not 7-0, I misread that. So they are 0-7. Not as fun of a fact as I initially thought, but that's where the 1 cup of coffee comes in. They're 7-0 against Aurora.
There you go.
That's what I read.
The Yellow Jackets keep on swinging and keep on stinging. 4 away from tying it up at 1 set apiece. Serving after taking a few deep breaths is Michael Beard with the beard. Can't quite find the ace. You know what's funny is years ago I knew a Michael Beard and he never had a beard. And so I never thought about it all the years. And now that there's another Michael Beard in our presence out of Darby High School in Ohio, he does sport. Have you ever tried facial hair for yourself? I mean, you got a little bit of a goat going on right now.
I got a little bit of goatee, a little bit of mustache. Cannot get the sides to go just yet. We're working on it.
Just yet.
Just yet. Late bloomer, that's all.
That's all throughout college. I mean, I had to be clean shaven in high school, going to a private school. But then in college, I couldn't grow much, so I would do like the chin strap, as they called it.
Okay.
And then went back to clean shaven, and then I just got old and lazy and, trim when I need to. If I'm on camera, I usually do the full shave, but 17-22, Yellow Jackets within 3. Set to the near side, Hendricks. Sailing through, no tip called. Birds still have a chance. They need a run, and they need it now. Now, not to play devil's advocate, but if you're Baldwin Wallace and you can take down 2 players, not just a set, but if you can find a way to beat Carthage, wow. You mentioned it earlier. That's huge implications for them.
Absolutely, especially with the injuries. That definitely will come into consideration with the ABCA rankings.
Otto, floorboard breaker on his business card, 22-19. Hendricks able to clear it over to the libero Sullenberger. Punch through, no one can't get there. Baldwin Wallace, their fans clapping through. It's got to be so tough for their fans that made the travel this weekend from Ohio. You had Stevens on the ropes, and then the injury bug came a-striking. You're hoping to just get through this weekend, but if you're able to come away with a victory, huge for you. Carthage with another point, back within 3. It needs to happen now. Into serve, he brought the magic last time he was at the line, Austin Mallory.
Not a whole lot of room left for error for Carthage. No timeouts left for them. 1 for Baldwin Wallace.
Return, Junker, near side, blocked. Out of play, they're not getting there. Birds within 2. Timeout called by Baldwin Wallace. It was 18-14. Back and forth battle. Can Carthage climb through? And again, this is where the situation comes into play. Baldwin Wallace, they have swung with fervor. They have swung with confidence. But these are the type of points where it's not just the offensive side they're missing from Wynn, it's also the defensive presence just kind of helping close out the blocks where he need be, not knowing necessarily where your libero is going to be. And next thing you know, it's 23-21, and Birds are right back in it.
Yeah, and Owen Wynn also, we've talked about how well he was swinging and serving, but his defensive stops between him and Kim, that back row was solid early on against Stevens. And the way Stevens looked with making stops against Carthage last night was how the Yellow Jackets looked against the Ducks earlier today.
Yeah, looking at the numbers, 29 digs for Wynn, along with 8 blocks. It's those little things that really, you know, it's a void. There's no other way to put it. I want to keep harping on it. And again, not to discredit any position or any role on the team. You're not losing a serve specialist. You're losing your key contributor. And they're finding a way to work around it. No touch called out of play. Oh, they're saying a touch.
The left line judge called touch.
We are at set 2 point, and so the line judge and the R1 were about to say point Carthage, R2 overruled, called touch. Woo, that's a close call. Carthage with the tool. That's 1.
Don't stop now, boys. They're calling in the net?
The line judge, so I saw the line judge kind of say what side they favored. This should be Carthage's point. I mean, Justin, correct me if I'm wrong. Okay.
So replay here. Yeah, the ball hit the net before Otto's hand did. That's the right call. It's Carthage's point. Tough call when you don't have replay.
Carthage needs 2 more. Not gonna happen there. Latham, the pride of Westerville Central. Huge delivery, and Baldwin Wallace ties it up at 1 set apiece. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, set 3. It's anyone's game in Kenosha. It's the Frog Jump Invitational on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. tied at 1 for Justin Coorigan. I'm Peter Ferreri. Thank you for joining us on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. Ace. Somebody raised those cards in the crowd. Nobody's doing it, Justin. They had these cards made and nobody's holding it up.
They're all.
Isn't that somebody's job? Who's getting fired?
They're all on Twitter right now. That's okay. I think my student worker might need a new laptop after that one.
Looking for the back row. Left side, just a poke through by Otto, but playable. Near pin, high up. Maury slides away. Not quite sure what Maury was doing. I know he wanted the second touch, but just swung a little too much back. Yellow Jackets tied it at 1. Tied at 1. Hoffmeister, one of the best servers for the Yellow Jackets, just sails it a bit too far. They can't get the point.
That one just missing off the back line.
Side swipe by Hendricks, and that's going to be a point for Baldwin Wallace as the return hit the rafters, went on the other side of the net, and per NCAA rules, that is an automatic point for the opponent. Steinitz, one of the serve specialists, rolls it over. Otto gets blocked. Michael Beard, 1v1, says no.
Beard has really become a standout in this game, both at the net and at the service line.
From the Bick. Not much you could do if you're Junker. I mean, he had the right idea to try to get the deflection, Justin, off the net. It didn't happen. He would have almost had to have been laying on the ground to try to get that back into play.
Yeah, and that's a tough spot because with where that ball is coming, you either have to bank on it's going over, it's going to be an overshot that Carthage can take a swing on, or you need to kind of get sideways at the base of the net and kind of scoop it out. But there's really, if it does go over, then you're left exposed, and the 10-foot line's exposed for an easy kill.
Latham. High topspin serve, and sends it out of play. Back at 4-4. Jack McDonald. Again, his own cardboard cutout in the crowd.
How come we never get cardboard cutouts?
Man, they just want to cut us out. That's
yeah, amen to that.
McDonald flips it up. Playable left side, Hendricks. Doesn't quite clear the net. And those are all the points that fell against Juniata, that fell in set 1 today, that fell in set 4 yesterday. And that's the challenge with having a team that doesn't have the power serve that they had in years past, that you are reliant upon your offensive awareness and abilities on all the other points and allowing your opponent to more or less just make more mistakes than you. And right now, it's a back and forth battle when it comes to that. So when you get these offensive swings and they go out of play, you're automatically taking that opportunity to get a point away from yourself.
Absolutely, and I think that waiting for the other side to make a mistake is not necessarily a bad strategy.
Yeah.
But it's not the greatest when you're facing teams as elite as the ones we've seen this weekend, where they don't make a lot of mistakes compared to most teams.
Answering back is Heiss. You know, to quote a coach I've spoken to before is Marie Zidek, head coach at DePaul University Women's Volleyball. Back-to-back years making the NIVC tournament, making the Big East tournament. I mean, just really on the upswing what she's done with the program. And I've had, years of conversations with her, and there's a point to this. and I always say, when you may have an area of your game that doesn't match well with your opponent. I'm not saying that team is better, but let's say the other team is really dominant at the net. Their height, they get tons of blocks, like Maryland. Maryland always has the tallest players, the best block in the nation in the Big Ten. Different conference, but point remains. How do you combat that? And she said, we always make sure we allow our opponent in those circumstances to make mistakes related. So if they're a better serving team, then we'll allow them to make more service errors. If they're a better blocking team, we won't give them the chance to block. We'll go around it each and every time and force every other position to then try to play that level up. And it's proved itself successful for the Blue Demons over the years, and it's the same situation that Coach Keycaper's having to do right now with Carthage, is find your way around and navigate, and they're back tied at 7.
Hendricks on
Did
that
that make sense?
That made perfect sense. Total sense.
I'm like, okay, we're in set 3. I can tell a longer story.
We got time.
Yellow Jackets thought they had a touch. No contact made. Birds up by 1. The overpass, and Hendricks can't get underneath it. You know, here's a trivia question. I don't have the answer to it, so maybe, you know, within all your resources, you could look it up. So again, we mentioned the first game of the season for the Yellow Jackets was against Randolph-Macon and the Yellow Jackets. So they were the same mascot against one another. Are there more Firebird teams out there, and have we ever played them?
I would assume no. I don't see many teams naming themselves after an old Pontiac. I'm sure there's some Phoenix, which is kind of the same idea.
Yeah.
Plenty of Redbirds, plenty of
Yeah.
Fire, Flames, but I don't know about any Firebirds. I think that one's pretty unique.
I mean, that'll be our research in the meantime.
Not
But
as unique as like a banana slug
I
necessarily.
mean, if
where
there's a second one of those, that just has to be immediate copyright infringement. The venomous slugs of banana. That stays in.
the one I remember, because I was a student here when we switched from the previously named
Yes.
Red Men, Lady Reds to Firebirds, one of the ones that was in consideration was Rail Splitters,
Oh, okay.
which is a callback to the Carthage connection to Abraham Lincoln, which, for those who don't know, when Carthage was located in Carthage, Illinois, Abraham Lincoln in the early days was on the board of directors, I believe, or one of the, he was a big important person, so therefore there's a statue on campus of him, and there was an idea to make the nod to him with Rail Splitters because he was deemed back in the day the Rail Splitter candidate. And at the time, I thought, hey, that's completely original. It's unique.
Yeah.
It's not for. There's actually another Rail Splitters team at the Division II level in Lincoln Memorial University down in Tennessee.
Tip called. All right, I do have an answer. The answer, as now, based on our research department, is 2. The University of the District of Columbia are the Firebirds. So the University of D.C. are the Firebirds. And Kirtland College are the Firebirds. And they are out of Grayling, Michigan. So we're going to have to take notes of this because I feel like maybe you do a pen pal program. Like maybe you sit there and you swap some swag and you see how we can. It's a cool logo, too.
It is. And
Look at that website.
As a sports info director, I'm going to start using this to figure out how do they use their wordplay
Yes.
with recaps, see if I can learn anything. What was the second one there?
Sure. Kirtland, Kirtland. This is live research, folks. No better place you'd rather be.
So Kirtland Community College is part of the NJCAA.
And that's not far from here.
No, part of the MCCAA. Get yourself some long acronyms, why don't you? Their track and field teams are probably members of the USTF CCCA.
Something like that. I always appreciated the ILSWLCA.
That's a good one.
The Illinois State Women's Lacrosse Association. They were the governing body of women's lacrosse here. This is not Illinois, this is Wisconsin. We'll have to look that one up. But yeah, I think you should reach out to their SIDs. How about that? How about this, Justin? We're having fun now on a Saturday afternoon. February 1st, happy Groundhog Days Eve, everybody. I hope you have that Bill Murray movie fired up. But we should be reaching out to these teams, and I'm talking exhibition. I'm talking non-conference games. As just like that, the Yellow Jackets have now taken the lead. They were trailing 13-11. That's a 3-point lead. We may have a timeout by Coach Kiekefer. We don't. But we should have an exhibition against one of these teams.
Absolutely, I'd be down for that.
Make it happen. Ryan, the athletic director, was on the prior broadcast. Have him make some phone calls. That would truly be the Battle of the Birds. And here at Tarble Arena, again, amazing facilities. We have 4 different broadcast booth locations, so you can have home and away TV and radio. I mean, it's truly an amazing facility from the broadcast level. We can have all of them here. Let's make it happen. Tied at 14. The back set, high return, falling away. Set from the 10-foot line, playable. Near pin, down and in. I truly thought during our little conversation that Carthage was going to continue and expand that lead. Just hasn't quite happened. And the Yellow Jackets now really taking advantage. And we have a shoe tying. So Latham waved to the R1 to give a timeout. That website's doing a lot. I'm just looking off the corner of my eye. It is flashing. It is a rave in DC.
There very much so. A lot of movement on this. The Presto sports site, so a lot of movement, very fancy. We go through a company called Sidearm for ours, so there's where the difference lies.
The back set, left hand auto, playable by Sullenberger, the substitute libero, who has come in after set number 1. And the Firebirds get the point. Back to serve is Joey Kolwitz. Tied at 15. Kolwitz, the lefty, gets it to Beard. Back set, down and in. Oh, what a quick back set to Steinitz. And when you are able to do such a quick, Steinitz checks in, that was Frischer. It's one thing when you do the quick set when it's right in front of you. When it is a back set, I mean, that is just reps in the gym, which is something to be said being down 2 out of your 6 starters.
Absolutely, and it's showcasing the depth out of this Baldwin Wallace team so far here today.
Poked over with the right hand. High back set this time around. Out of play. Carthage, good job getting out of their own way.
Interesting thing here, going back to the University of DC Firebirds. They're a Division II school out of DC.
Yep.
Self-explanatory. They have 10 total varsity athletic sports. Carthage today alone had 11 different programs competing.
That's a difference.
In one season.
Are they Division I?
They are Division II. Okay. Small Division II conference up in the Northeast region, New York, New Jersey, DC area.
Okay.
Not a lot of formerly working in Division II, familiar with a lot of D2 programs. Not a whole lot of people that I'm recognizing. So smaller, definitely a smaller conference at the Division II level.
Carthage coming back. Up by 2. You're going to have to look up what their mascots are, because ours is Ember, correct?
Let me work on that.
Okay. Timeout called by Baldwin Wallace. And folks, when you've done 82 broadcasts in 3 days, these are what the talking points are. 2 ranked squads going at it, battling. Carthage down early in set number 3, found a lead, took the lead here late, 18-16, 2 away. And you may say to yourself, well, it's only a 2-point lead. Why did the Yellow Jackets need a timeout? Because for quite a while, they were really having a stronghold over this situation in set number 3 and were potentially going to go up 2 sets to 1 against Carthage. Carthage now trying to say not so fast, and we have an update.
So we have an update. Their mascot's name, I believe I just found, was Felix the Firebird. And design-wise, Ember, for those who don't know, is a red, black, and white bird wearing a Carthage suit. This is a red and yellow bird with big red and yellow wings and a yellow beak and long yellow boots for feet, whatever you want to call it. No sort of branding on it whatsoever, but it's almost, for me at least, reminiscent of the late 80s, early 90s Atlanta Hawks with the color scheme.
Well, now you're going to have to look up for Kirtland what theirs is. 18-16. Hendricks serves. Junker at the net. Nice job coming in. Colby Whiteside able to deliver, the junior middle hitter out of Olentangy Liberty High School.
So the Kirtland Firebird is Sparky the Firebird.
Okay, that makes sense.
He is this is where it gets different. He is a teal and yellow bird with orange flames coming out of his underarms.
Well, you know what? You think about it, like when fire gets really hot, it's blue.
Yep.
So if you look at a stove, you know, that type of situation. So I can see that. I can see that.
And for those who can't see my computer screen right now, we're talking a reminiscent of like a coastal Carolina Chanticleer's blue with a Pittsburgh Pirates yellow.
Yeah, the way to phrase it, if it's a Chanticleer from coastal Carolina, but it's a bird.
Yes. So there's another very original mascot name. You don't see a lot of Chanticleers around.
Every time I think Chanticleer, I think about the 90s cartoon Rockadoodle. If anybody's ever seen that deep cut of a movie.
You've got me beat on that one for once.
That's fine. I know some of the people in the booth right now are laughing because they weren't even born, you know, in 2005, let alone 1995. Me being in my 60s, of course, I know about these items. Let's go back to the game quickly. Carthage 5 away. They've just reached the red zone. Baldwin Wallace using their second timeout in it's only been 2 points for Carthage, but Baldwin Wallace already using another timeout. Talk me through it, Justin. Why the second timeout so quickly?
I think just you've got a team that is very good at closing things out defensively, and you're on the road against a ranked opponent. You might as well take the shot now as they enter the red zone. Try and force the momentum out. We've seen a lot of swings back and forth in this game. Try and take advantage of it while you've got the opportunity.
We appreciate you being with us on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. Having some fun. Men's volleyball, the Frog Jump Invitational. No place we'd rather be on this Saturday evening.
It still interests me, though, that there are multiple Firebirds out there.
There's more coming. Just wait.
Oh, boy. I'm ready.
Yep. High set. Near side pin. And it goes off the solar plexus of Hendricks, and Baldwin Wallace back to within 2. Serving now. Ted Hoffmeister, the exact player you want in the contest at this time if you're the Yellow Jackets. Set left side and tools through. Bust out the chainsaw. Birds need 4.
rare occurrence of the Yellow Jackets not getting the side out right out of a timeout.
Ooh, that was a thunderous rip.
Beautiful swing.
Latham laying the wood. Baldwin Wallace within 2. At the service line is Whiteside. And Whiteside, no service aces. Let me make sure I'm correct with that statement. Excuse me, 6 service aces. That's a 6, not a 0. Nolan. Set. Cholowinski has it rolled back. Back set, Otto falling away, playable by Junker. Double block, back row, Hendricks. Otto, the lefty. Swipe at it for Beard from the Bick. Pops it over, it's Hoffmeister. Cholowinski let it go, and the back row wasn't expecting him to not go for it.
Yeah, just miscommunication there, something that's cost teams all weekend long. Keycaver going to take his time out here.
And that's not a bad idea either. It was 21-19, a quick point off of that. If we look at the run that has happened thus far, it is now 3 out of the last 4 points have gone the way of Baldwin. And just like that, the Yellow Jackets are 1 away from tying it up. Intriguing circumstance to say the least. So it was 20-17. We were just repeating that the Yellow Jackets used their second timeout, and we said, ooh, that might be kind of early. It truly is proving itself that it did the exact right thing, exact right time. Coach Kyle Mars said, let's stop it now. Let's try to come back. Carthage still hitting 100 points better, 280 to 180. But those 10 less kills for Carthage. Number 12, Baldwin Wallace. We've said it before, we say it now, and we'll likely say it again, down 2 of their starting 6, and are 1 point away from being tied at 21 in set 3. Taking a few bounces. Latham. Mark that Whiteside. Otto. Nice pass to the Heist man, Ben Heist. A much-needed coach's point for Carthage.
Absolutely, they had to get that one. Keep things in check here. Keep that slim lead.
Near side Beard, and it rolls off the fingertips of Nolan. He tried to pull the hands away, wasn't quite able to do so. (22, 21). High back set for Maury. The tip over by Heiss. What concentration for the Iceman. Carthage up by 2, needing 2, and the Yellow Jackets out of timeouts. McDonald in, serve specialist, deep breath. 4 service aces coming into the day. Doesn't find one there, but a solid serve nonetheless. Hoffmeister from the Vic. Opportunity for the Birds. Back for McDonald. Maury, high back set. Powers through, playable for the Bees. Maury, high set for Hendricks. And Hendricks and McDonald run into one another. Hendricks was saying, get out of the way. McDonald from the back row decides to dive in, not hearing Maury saying what the situation is. And right now, a conversation taking place between the R2 and Keycafer. I'm not sure if they're saying, but my only thought is Keycafer saying, did the ball hit the ground before McDonald touched it, because it would have been out of play? But without review, the serve for Beard to tie it up at 23. Nolan delivering from the pick, playable for the Yellow Jackets. Punching through. The high back set for Heiss, floats it over! And that's where the rotational libero of Sullenberger comes into play. Birds at set 2 point.
Tarble Arena getting on their feet now. Slim crowd today with it being J-term break for the students, but the crowd that has shown up for the Firebird faithful has been loud all game long.
Set over the middle. Double block, pancake, they're letting it play, but the R1 overrides. So Coach Kiekefer is saying, wait a second. Both line judges and the R2 were letting it play on. The R1 with a late whistle. Usually you let it play on, but again, I digress.
Yeah, I don't understand where the R1 has jurisdiction on that point, being the vertically the farthest away from seeing that. When you've got 3 officials on the ground.
So now we're going to have, I believe, a substitution. Hendricks, no self-preservation for David Abercrombie. Birds take set 3 in a back and forth battle, 25-23. Can the Birds win in 4, or will the Yellow Jackets force 5 as they did earlier today against the Ducks? Don't go anywhere. We'll be back on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. Welcome back. Serve one underway. I'm Peter Ferreri alongside Justin Coorigan. Firebirds squeaked one out, 25-23 in set 3. Starting out strong, the Cholo bomb over the middle. Starting set number 4, they want to close up shop here in 4 sets. Serving again is Owen Hendricks. Hits the tape. And it's a situation where you want to be as crisp as possible. Not allow much on the opposite side. The high back set left hand. Tool again by Heiss. The tool kill and that type of attack, whether it's Heiss or Otto, proving fruitful at the end of set 3 and starting out set 4.
And that's kind of been the story all weekend for this Firebirds team. The Hendricks-Otto combo has been one of the more efficient ones as that one sails out of bounds. Another service error.
Both points currently for Baldwin Wallace are by way of the service error.
I'd be kind of scared to know the total amount of service errors across this entire tournament from all 4 teams combined, what that number would be. It's more than 3 for sure.
Set near side and taking a swipe is Hoffmeister. Couldn't get under it in time. The Birds, again, minus the serves right now, they could be up 5-0. So let's see what they're able to do, how they're able to turn things around. Set over the middle by Junker and powers through. Again, the quick one set's been efficient for them most of the night. Surprised in a bit, they've gone away from it. Let's see if they maybe get back in the groove now with this being the circumstance, as it should be 3-3. We're waiting for the official scoreboard to update, and indeed there it is. Nice play at the net. Little tiny fist bump for Kiekefer at his hip. Not often you see that type of emotion, but we see it there. As again, there's no reason to not be excited in that circumstance.
Exactly, and taking advantage of a bad pass is something the Firebirds need to get better at, and they looked a lot better at that moment.
The back set for Heiss. Ben Heiss taking over this game midway through the 3rd, through now. 5-3 for Carthage. Set to the left side, Beard powers it through. And he even gives a little bit of a right arm bicep flex. Back to a thin one. And the aforementioned Beard to have the serve. Beard takes his time, the spin. Right thumb taped. And it's going to say point for the Birds. So one of the line judges said it was in, but nonetheless, the other 3 said out, point Carthage. Pass up by Junker. Playable for Carthage. Left hand, Heiss over the top. High back set. Out of play. Latham. And those were what was falling in set 2. Those were what was falling most of set 3. It's not happening now. 3-point lead for Carthage.
Exactly, and that's just the way the volleyball travels sometimes. Unfortunately, it's going to stay out a little bit here and there. Got to be able to make that quick adjustment as a tape ace. Gotta love it.
That is what Lee had against Carthage just 24 hours ago to really seal things for the Ducks over the Birds. Carthage absolutely ecstatic, getting a tape ace of their own. That stays in as well. Back-to-back aces, and finally somebody is holding up, but it's backwards. Justin, let's see if they notice.
There we
got
go.
it right. Okay,
I think they're showing it to the people
Oh,
behind
okay.
them.
Well, you have more than one. I don't know if our camera crew can get on any of those, but if you have 3 of the ace cards, you can hold one in each direction.
It's a very cool design on it, too.
It is. I feel we need to, have some crowd participate. Message down to the PA announcer, Eric Elger, and let him know, help him out. Somebody else pick up a sign. When it's back-to-back aces, you got to lean into.
You got to hold up 2 cards.
9-4, biggest lead for Carthage all evening. And again, forcing the errors of their opponent, clean serves over the net, including some back row aces. And that's what kind of, I don't want to say, Justin, they've lulled them to sleep. But when you've had the float serves and the top spins that have fallen at the 10-foot line, next thing you know, when you deliver a bomb to the back line, they're not ready for it. So, nice turn of events right now for Carthage, as again, they are hoping to finish the job now.
Yeah, you want to put them away here. You don't want to force 5. Because as we said last night, going to 5 is anybody's game. It's a mad sprint and a luck of the draw.
I'm also looking, and we'll stop it with this, but the University of St. Catherine's Firebird Women Volleyball Program, 30-5 and 20-0 in conference play. That's good.
That's a very good season.
That's pretty good. But they also have men's.
2023, I think I saw that.
They also have men's volleyball. I'm just saying.
Did they not have a season this year then, if it was 2023?
I don't
for the
know.
women?
You'll have to research it.
What was the name of it again?
University of St. Catherine. Some oohs and ahs across the board as Baldwin Wallace back to within 5. St. Catherine in the NAIA and part of the Cal-PAC Conference, California Pacific Conference.
It's interesting, we have an NAIA, we have a JUCO.
Yep.
We have Division III and Division II, but no Division I Firebirds.
On the back set, nice block. We haven't said his name in a minute, but Jacob Estevez says, say my name. Again, you mentioned a key contributor in the prior game. Now the starting libero, Aiden Kim, standing. No more ice, but does have a brace on his right knee. Down. Power bomb. Delivering a finisher, 11-6. Out of play it goes. Looking for the power serve, couldn't quite find it. Carson Junker. On the near side, float over with the 2 hands. High set right side, triple block playable. At the net, Maury, net violation called against the Yellow Jackets, and the Birds get the point. So 12-7 your score.
And we both found it the same time here going back to St. Catherine's. Look like they unfortunately closed their doors on April 25th, 2024.
Another good play by Estevez, and you kind of wonder, and again, we don't know all the intricacies of what's happened. Estevez checks out now, but again, he's in, he makes an impact.
Absolutely, and he's been that way all weekend long.
Huge dig by Junker. Beard from the left side gets double block. Junker finds it. Down and in. White side. again, the names we have said often this entire afternoon, just not having a lot of impact, or let me say, having an impact when their name is called, when the number is called.
Absolutely, and that's the one thing that's been very good for this Baldwin Wallace team. It's kind of been a next man up mentality, especially after they lost Wynn and they lost Kim earlier today.
12 to 10. It was a 5-point lead for the Firebirds. From the Bick, huge dig by Sullenberger. Beard, blocked. Kill for Carthage, 13-10.
We haven't talked about much, but Sullenberger has really stepped up at the libero position, considering being essentially libero number 2 with Aiden Kim out of the lineup. There really hasn't been a drop-off in production from the libero position.
Hitting the tape, McDonald, but playable. Junker, left side for Beard. Back row. And was it a net violation?
I believe they called Carthage in the net on that.
Okay, I didn't quite, net is moving, see it now. Opportunity now for Whiteside. Falling away, just keeping it alive. 2-point lead only now for Carthage. Nolan with the nice up. To the right side, joust! Won by
Hang on a second, they're calling in the net on Latham.
Wow, that is a momentum shift if I've ever seen one.
Absolutely. That's the difference between 13-12 and the current 14-11. That's a huge swing in favor of the Firebirds.
High set to Beard, triple block, couldn't break through. Reset and down. Welcome to the block party on Sheridan. 15-11 Carthage.
Ruben Emmerich and Hudson Schweitzer in on the double block, just a steel wall.
Miscommunication between Beard and Junker. Timeout necessary. 16-11, Carthage back up to that 5-point lead. What a shift. That net violation against Latham, it went from a joust win to having them within 1 point to now a situation they're down by 5.
Yeah, absolutely, and I don't know if we have the replay of that, but from what I saw at least, they went up for the joust, and Latham's right hand comes down just enough to pull the net down and kind of give them the advantage to win the joust. It was very quick, and it was a great spot by the R2, but definitely the right call, and as you mentioned, a huge momentum shift.
16-11. Again, this is where, and I'm just being honest, the small differences between your libero and your outside being out, in addition to you already just played 5 against one of the best teams in the nation. You're playing on will and you're playing on fumes.
Exactly, and there's just kind of that will to win that all these teams have. Is when we had earlier in the broadcast, we had Carthage head football coach Matt Pepino on. He called all these guys elite competitors. And he said he had a lot of his football guys out here watching on Thursday night, Carthage versus Juniata, because he wanted them to see what elite competitors look like. What's that grit level they have, that will to win? And we've seen that all weekend long. It's been phenomenal.
The hop serve, almost an ace. Rolling away Nolan. The overpass. Touch was there. Latham took advantage.
Latham hit that so hard. I think it might have been a little bit of aggression coming out off that net call.
Yet Emmerich checks out. And think about this. Emmerich such a contributor last night. Hardly any playing time now, and again, it's all matchup based. Hits off the tape, Morey gets it falling away. Nolan back up, Otto rolls over. Latham, Junker back to Latham. Nolan sends that one into the stands. Nice little 2-point run now for Baldwin Wallace.
Gotta love it with the Carthage bench. Everyone clearing out of the way. David Marcus caught sitting, a little relaxed. He just ducks out and hopes nobody runs over him.
Power serve, overpass Roof. This may be a key K for timeout. A 3-0 run for the Yellow Jackets. Just as we said, potentially misalignment, potential fatigue. It's a 2-point game.
KK for keeping the timeout in his pocket for now. He has both remaining.
Missed time over the middle, but out of play. Luck be a lady for Carthage tonight. A little bit of a missed time on the pass. Carthage up again by 3.
Now it's going to be interesting to see, with both timeouts being burned so early for Baldwin Wallace, is that going to come back to haunt them late in this set?
And Beard takes a bite out of his jersey as he knows the line was there, but just didn't get enough air underneath it. High set from the Bick. Huge dive by Morey. Down the line and in. The accuracy of one Ben Heiss. Burns one away from the red zone. The back set. Just out of play, looked for the roof, but it fell right at the feet of the R1's perch. Good call.
Not much you can do off of that one for the double block. They were in position, they were on time, just hit the hands in a weird way where it spun out of bounds.
(19, 15). Beard with the serve to Nolan. Beautiful pass, beautiful finish. Hudson Schweitzer with a Schweitzer bomb. 20 to 15, Birds need 5. And as you mentioned, this is that situation, Baldwin Wallace out of timeouts.
Yeah, no way to kill momentum without getting the side out.
Set left side. And again, making an impact is Estevez. Multiple subs coming in along with David Abercrombie, the serve specialist. He needs to will them back. Can he do so from the service line?
Abercrombie's been solid today, not a whole lot of mistakes.
Cholowinski willing his team to being 4 points away from the 4-set victory. Again, stick around for the post-game show. Head coach J.W. Kiefer will be joining us in the broadcast booth. Some may say if he comes away with a victory, maybe a little bit of relief for weathering the storm against a hungry Hornet team. Out of play.
And I think on top of that, he's coming away with this tournament with a 2-1 record on the weekend after going barely 1-2 last year at Frog Jump when it was hosted by Juniata after losing a heartbreaker to Juniata in 4, getting swept by NYU. I believe it was NYU the next game, and then barely coming away with a win on the final day in 5. This has definitely got to be a much more promising feel. And I asked him about that on the broadcast this morning. He basically said, we kind of expected to this year because we're a better team and we were not playing up to the level we should have been that early in the season. We are this year, and we should be able to pull it out.
Another point for Carthage. We'll go through the whole schedule at the conclusion of the game, but again, they are on the road a week from today at Dominican and River Forest, back home Tuesday the 11th against Concordia, Wisconsin, so they get a nice week off, refuel, recharge, reset. Back row for Hendricks, couldn't quite get the dig. Carthage needs 2.
Interesting thing that I brought up at the end of the last broadcast, we have yet to see in this tournament a game end in 4. We have seen
you're right.
3 threes and 2 fives. Can this be the first to end in 4?
Poked over by Cholo. Can he answer with the block? Nolan gets it. Bounce at the net, but playable. Once again, is there a tip? No tip called. Some of the fans not quite sure where to go with that, but again, I think that was the right call. When it sails at such a high trajectory at the net, he was leaning back. Just like that, the Yellow Jackets back within 4. Hoffmeyer with the tough serve. Set from the Bick. Making some noise now. Ted Hoffmeister.
Nothing Zach Nolan could have done with that one. That was a rocket, reactionary, defensive move. Very few liberos in the country would have made a stop on that.
No self-preservation for Junker. We are at match point.
Crowd onto their feet, ready to start some Kenosha chants.
McDonald. Beard with the return. Pass back to Beard. Back row, no touch. That's going to be it. That's going to be all she wrote. Fist pumps abound as the Firebirds win 25-20 in set number 4. Justin, initial thoughts.
I think this was a very convincing win and a very confidence-boosting win for the Firebirds, coming off a tough 5-set loss and then coming back and answering in 4, as you mentioned, weathering the storm, a very good response. And for Baldwin Wallace, you've got some things to worry about injury-wise. Owen Wynn, we hope he's okay. We wish him the best of luck with his recovery process.
Yeah.
But for this Baldwin Wallace team, you can walk out of this and say, hey, we battled number 3 through 5, didn't come away with it after losing our guy for the last 2 sets. And then we fought through a tough Carthage team, didn't come away with it, but showed signs of, hey, we can work through this injury, this adversity, and come away a better team for it.
25-20 is the way set 4 is going to end. 25-23, the clutch victory in set 3 really was a determining factor. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, which should be relieved and joyous, head coach J.W. Kiefer, don't go anywhere. We'll be back on the Firebird Broadcasting Network. Joining us now, win 101 in the belts. J.W. Keycafer alongside Justin Coorigan, and I'm Peter Ferreri. Coach, talk us through it. Is it a sigh of relief? Is it excitement? What were the emotions coming away with the victory today against a team, yes, down 2 key players? You wouldn't have known it with how well they played.
No, a lot of excitement. Any win you get against a ranked team, you kind of pumped about it. Like you said, that Baldwin Wallace team really, no matter how it down a couple of guys, really unfortunate for Owen there. That was unfortunate to watch. He was playing electric volleyball there against Stevens, and just tough for that entire Baldwin Wallace group. The level of volleyball they had played all season long, it probably deserving to be higher than number 12. They had Stevens dead to rights there, and just tough injury at a tough time for a really good volleyball team. So, wishing him and this Baldwin Wallace team the best. Kyle Marsh is doing an incredible job with that group, and even with that guy out, they're playing some pretty impressive volleyball. Just excitement, man. Like, why no size of relief? We're really excited about that win. Hitting 303, that's probably the best number we might have hit. I mean, besides the first 2 matches of the year against Norbert and Lakeland, that's the best number I think we've hit since then. So, a good elevation of the offense. We've been talking a little bit when I've been on here this tournament. The offense has to go the right direction. Otherwise, it's gonna be really tough to win. And we go out and hit a 588, and I think we just fell asleep. Like, long 3 days, long tournament. Really excited to go out and play some great volleyball, and we just expected that we were going to be better. We didn't put the pedal down. We didn't go earn it, and it was just really lazy volleyball for the first 15 points from our end. Credit to Austin Mallory coming off the bench and giving us a massive lift there in set 2. It didn't necessarily get us to win that set. Obviously, we lost the set, but he got us the energy back with an ace and then a long run, and we were back in it. And so I think Austin did a great job on the bench there. Again, really want to talk about Joe Kolowitz and Jack McDonald and Ruben Emmerich, guys who've played a lot of minutes for us in their past, or particularly played a lot of minutes here in the first part of the season. Having them go to the bench and find different roles to impact a match. I'm really proud of how they played, how hard they played, the serves that Joe and Jack were ripping back there. And then you saw Ruben come in set 4 and make an elite blocking move to his left and get a massive block to keep us going to go win that 4th set. Just really elite stuff from the guys on the bench to go impact a match in different ways. So really, really proud of them. It's not depth if you don't use it. So really impressed of how we're trying to get guys on the floor that can really help us out and win some points.
Coach, you and I earlier, we talked about how well Ryan Morey was playing. He averaged almost 10 assists a set tonight.
Yeah.
How crucial is that to have a floor general like him, who really hasn't had a lot of experience for a junior, but he's coming into a really good season early on?
Yeah, I think we'd like to be north of that number. Actually, I think that's 10 and above is good. I think 11's elite. So in terms of where we want to be, we're still a little bit low in that space in a 5-1 or in a 5-1. So still some work to go with the offense, but a little more rhythm in the 5-1 is what we were looking for. And I think just everybody gets more rhythm in that space. Ben Heiss has always been that way. He hits a pretty ridiculous number, 412 today, 9-2 in 17, a pretty high kill percentage for him today, so that's a good number. And so just trying to find some rhythm a little more with the one-setter lineup. I feel like gutted for Joe and Ruben, because I don't think they deserve to be on the bench with how hard they play and how well they play. But we just needed to find some rhythm with the offense to make that change. And Ryan Moore's doing a great job. I thought he ran the middle routes really well today. Hudson Schweitzer really came alive there in set 4. He blocked the ball really well today. 6 blocks for him. Holy cow. And I thought his offense came alive there in set 4. And Ryan Cholowinski, wow, what a beast he is right now with the blocking moves. And that's a 562. It's been a while since we've seen a number like that from Cholo. Just really working on his patience at the net to let that ball get to him so we can cut it off. Ryan's doing a great job of being patient, letting the ball come to him, and then finding space. And when he does that, he's a pretty elite offensive guy. And his defense is, if he's not the best blocker in the country, he's top 3, that's for dang sure. So I'm really proud of Ryan Cholowinski.
Now, you mentioned kind of falling asleep in set 2, and there was kind of a stretch in that set and even into set 3 where the volleyball gods just kind of didn't want it to go your way. The ball was landing out for you guys, in for the Yellow Jackets, falling on your side of the net on crucial blocks, jousts, all that. How do you kind of keep the guys focused through that and prevail when you're facing as tough a team as Baldwin Wallace or Stevens or Juniata
Yeah,
is?
some weird touches, right? Like a block touch that would go above our head and our guys couldn't find it and it would land next to them. I think there were a couple of those just weird touches above our heads. In volleyball, it's hard, right? You're making a blocking move, and it's hard once you touch it. It's hard to look up and find it. You look up, you might miss it. So maybe unlucky in those plays. I'd like to see our guys be a little more calm and smooth and athletic when they make a block touch instead of freaking out. I think we get a little bit tight when the ball gets touched, and we kind of freak out instead of staying calm and looking up and making a play. The biggest thing we talked about is you have to want to make a play. Right, there's a couple plays in 1 and a couple plays in 2 where there's a ball that's touched like that in a weird space, and it's going down between 2 people, and we got guys looking at each other, stopping, pulling back, and then trying to make a play late. We talked about like every single guy has to want to make a play and then communicate as loud as he can for everybody to get out of his way.
Yeah.
And the first one to communicate loudly gets to play it. And we just have really struggled with that in some spaces of like, that's my ball, I'm going to take care of it. We talked about that a lot. At the end of the day and in the game of when you see a ball go in the air, I'm going to go get it, and I'm going to make sure everybody knows that I'm going to take care of it and put it in a good spot.
Yeah. 7 days now. You don't want to lose any momentum you've got this weekend. What's this next week going to look like before you hit the road?
Well, we're definitely taking tomorrow off. It's been a long 3 days. We'll see what we do on Monday. We'll probably come in and practice if we feel good. We got Dominican next, right? I think that's the next match on the calendar. They're basically as good as this Baldwin Wallace team. We played them in the fall and we split 2-2. So expect a barn burner of a match between us and them. It's always a ranked match. It's probably the biggest rivalry we have in the Midwest, besides like the North Central Loris in our conference. Outside of our conference, it's probably our biggest natural rival that we've been playing in the NCAA tournament a lot, and has really elevated their level of play. So. We got to go. We thank God we got a week to go get our bodies under us and take a look at the video and get a good scout out there. Our programs know each other well. Like I said, we've played a lot of volleyball against them in the past, so we know each other really well, and it's going to be about who shows up that day to take care of the ball. I've never won in that facility down there at Dominican. I'm 0-2, so I would like to get a win down there. That would be fun for me. And we talked about how old I am now with 101, like you said. It's pretty. We got to get one of those down there. We got to get one of those down there so we can get that monkey off my back, I guess.
Sounds good. Well, Coach, you're 0-2 there, but let's hope you get number 102 this time around.
Oh, there we go. Like we did there, Peter. That's a segue. Heck yeah.
Do what I can.
Yeah.
Coach, congrats on the win. Go celebrate.
Thanks. Go Birds.
All right. I didn't plan that. That just, he set it up for me like a good setter would.
Exactly.
4-1, the differential. Set 2 went Baldwin Wallace's way and almost did set 3, but they found a way to close it out and really take a stranglehold in set number 4. Justin, after we've spoken with Coach now, final thoughts on a exciting weekend at the Frog Jump Invitational.
I mean, we could not have asked for a more competitive, more exciting to watch weekend of men's volleyball from the Division III level. All 6 games were incredible to watch.
Yeah.
Some of them were sweeps, some went to 5, one went 4, but even the sweeps were close, competitive games. It was a fun weekend. Shout out to Coach Kiekefer and his staff for helping promote this, set it up. The Frog Jump crew, incredible, getting all these teams together to compete against each other. Our production crew have been stellar all weekend long in the booth, giving me thumbs up right now. They're all rock stars, and they have done a great job. Everyone involved with this has been great in promoting a great way to sell some great volleyball. This was national tournament level competition all weekend long.
Indeed it was. Looking at some of the final numbers, 14-5. That block differential, and again, Justin winning in the service error category, that's going to be what carries this Carthage team to the uncharted heights that we don't even know they're capable of this year, and a 303 hit percentage. Just outstanding numbers.
Absolutely, and the service error is the only game where the team who had more service errors won was Stevens beating Carthage, and that came down to a 5th set where the differential came from Carthage making too many service errors. So it comes down to service errors when you are in this competitive level of volleyball.
Absolutely. We want to thank you for being with us this Friday. No, it's a Saturday. See, we've been here so much. I wake up, I go to sleep,
You're
I
living
work.
here too at this point.
I pretty much.
We're basically roommates.
They're next, just right here in this little nook. Next game at home for the men's Firebirds volleyball squad, Feb 11th at 7 o'clock versus Concordia of Wisconsin. So that'll be a fun one as well. Make sure you mark that on your calendars. Also want to look at what's upcoming for all of Carthage athletics. Wednesday, North Central right here taking on the women Firebirds basketball team. They did come away with a victory today, so coming off that tough loss, right back on the winning side. Let's see what they can do against North Central. And then the big doubleheader, Illinois Wesleyan coming to town, back-to-back, the doubleheader, women's and men's starting at 2 then 4:15. And then, as mentioned, men's volleyball versus Concordia. And Wednesday, February the 12th, folks, you aren't blinking. You don't got to rub your eyes. Women's lacrosse is back. We will be here with it. I'm excited to be on that call. 7 o'clock, women's lacrosse versus Bethel. Make sure you tune in for the season debut of NCAA women's lacrosse here with the Firebirds. Former players, now the coaches. What a story. Can't wait to talk with them and get that season going.
Absolutely. Maddie Burney era begins on that Wednesday. Can't wait.
Once again, your final in Kenosha, 4-1. We want to thank all of the staff and crew for being with us. For executive producer Mike Love, producer John Voinovich, Laura, Emma, Owen, Morgan, and I guess Ainsley too, even though she made fun of me in the pregame show. That's okay. Carthage wins in 4, 3-1. This program has been a presentation of Firebird Broadcast Productions and Carthage College. Copyright 2025. Finally, once again, I'm Peter Ferreri alongside Justin Coorigan. #FiredUpGoBirds.